So I think you, Gabriel, is the hiking expert among us. You've been doing quite a lot of trekking.
Try to act like one.
Yeah. Yeah, you just came from
say
Nepal.
one step in front of the other.
Okay.
And watch out for snakes.
All right. You just arrived from Nepal, right?
Yeah.
So
Just did a couple little hikes there.
a little something.
Yeah.
Like a week
Nothing
or
like this, you know, the Himalayas are not that big.
more like a hill.
Yeah.
So I've been exploring the Annapurna side of Nepal myself a little bit, and I guess you've been there a couple of times, right?
Yep.
Which
Twice. Well, I did the ABC trek and twice, and the Annapurna Circuit trek once.
okay. And this time was the
Langtang.
there's more towards the east, or
It's straight north of Kathmandu.
okay.
Langtang National Park. It's like you take a bus 8 hours straight north, almost to the Tibet border,
Cool.
and then you hike east from there.
Is Annapurna the third or fifth or something?
I think it is the
peak?
10th tallest mountain in the world.
Okay. And this one was?
It's nowhere close. It's like the 99th or something like that.
What was pulling you towards that one?
It's a trek that I'd also done before, and because it is a little bit lower in elevation, then it's better to do in December, because this was like late December. And the Everest Base Camp trek or the Annapurna Circuit trek, for one thing, they're longer and they go up higher, and so there's more of a chance of, you know, a blizzard could come in and you could really be stuck back there potentially for a while. And also it's just going to be colder while you're trekking. And so this one, I'd done it before in February, and so I knew it's fine to do in winter. It even snowed on me the last time, and it wasn't a problem. So also I just kind of wanted to revisit it, for one thing, because it is where there was major devastation from the earthquake in 2015, and an entire village was completely buried by a landslide. Like hundreds of people died, you know, trekkers in the lodges and local people and everything. And so partly I was just curious to see the trek, you know, hike over that village. There's a landslide, you know, a trail through the landslide. You're walking over where the village used to be that I stayed the night at the last time, because that was the year before the earthquake. And so also I was just curious to revisit it and like just be like, whoa, this is hardcore. Like,
because I saw the footage that you posted from that specific place that you're
Yeah.
describing, and they moved the village a little bit up the valley, right?
yeah, well, they put it away from the landslide, because now it's just a rubble field of rocks, you know, like it wouldn't be good to probably, you know, also there's the respect factor of let's not build right on top of the people who are, you know, still under there.
Yeah.
But also just practically, it's all just, you know, jumbles of rocks, and so they moved it up the hill to an area not affected by the landslide, and rebuilt lodges, and I stayed there for the night in a really nice lodge. And
Cool.
so,
Yeah,
a good
it's
one.
amazing. Nepal is so beautiful.
yeah, and the views up there are phenomenal. Even though it's not, you know, one of the tallest mountains in the world, at that point it doesn't matter. It's a massive mountain,
Yeah.
and it's a ring of high peaks right there, all covered in snow, and really gorgeous. So
And your initial thought was to make one movie out of your trek, right?
yeah, I was thinking, for one thing, because I'd made a movie about it before, and that was a one video for that whole trek. And also just for like kind of less work or whatever, but I ended up making 7 videos.
7 videos.
Yeah.
Aha, okay.
There's one more still to come out.
Aha, okay, wow. And the footage is so beautiful, so it's deserved
Yeah.
to be like a 7 sequel thing.
It worked out.
Yeah, I'm gonna post the link below
Right on.
so people can have a look
Yeah.
at it.
I trekked alone in the Himalayas of Nepal in winter. I think that's the title of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you think that was a right decision to do?
Yeah,
Can you recommend it?
for sure. Just be prepared for the cold,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's pretty brutal once you actually get up there.
And the bus ride, right?
And the bus ride was the worst thing about it.
Worse than the cold and the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do the cold again. The bus ride, man. I mean, I would, if that's what you got to do to get to the Himalayas,
Yeah.
I'll do it. But
I had some bad bus rides from Rishikesh in India going to Uttarkashi, like going north of it, up the Ganga.
yeah,
So miserable, you know, on
Yeah,
like a
I've done that
wooden
one.
seat and like back and forth. It was so
I've done
nauseous.
that one. I've done that one 2 or 3 times, and this one was so much worse because the road was just horrendous. I think it was worse than the last time that I'd done it 6 years ago. Just so bumpy. You're just getting thrown around like this, just for like hours of just like holding on, you know.
Did you get car sickness? Anything?
Luckily, I didn't. I mean, I didn't eat any sweets or anything beforehand. I had a good, solid breakfast.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I wasn't feeling sickness at
That's
least.
good.
Yeah.
Actually, to Kopangang, taking the boat, I've never been so sick, like seasickness wise.
Really?
Like crawling on the floor of the boat, like let me off, like, you know. So I actually got off on the island before. I just couldn't take it anymore.
This
It was
time?
like last year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got off at Koh Tao. I was like, I can't take another minute. I'm jumping overboard.
Wow. That happened to me going to Ibiza actually.
Ah, okay.
For that December trip.
Yeah.
Partly because I started drinking. I bought a bottle of wine right when we got there, and started drinking it before we actually started moving, and so then I had the sweet in my stomach.
Okay.
But also it was just because it was super rocky.
Yeah.
You know, it was really pitching around.
Somebody told me though that a little bit of alcohol can help because it kind of softens the balance sense in your ear, that sense of like, because the better balance sense I guess you have, the more sensitive you are to like changes of kind of horizontal level when you're like seasick.
I think maybe beer would be better.
Yeah,
because it's not
something that's not sweet. Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it can depend what else is in your stomach. Like if you're on an empty stomach and you drink just alcohol on an empty stomach, I think that's going to be a problem. Whereas if you just had a good meal and then you're drinking a beer.
Yeah.
But a big problem was just that boat was really rocking hard.
Yeah. All right, let's check out the remainings.
The waterfall without any water.
Last thing you want to say, or some message as it forwards anybody before you jump? Yeah, a splash or a bang? A splash, right? Yeah.
If there was rushing water right here, then this would be a great little jump right here.
Yeah.
Down into that pool.
Would be amazing.
It's only a few feet deep, so.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it must fill up enough because it's got to get over those rocks over there, so it's going to fill up quite a bit before it goes that way. But it's literally just a few feet deep right down there, so it has to come up a lot.
But if it was like a Bigfoot feet, would it be deep enough?
It'd have to be a really big Bigfoot.
Yeah. I'm always so confused about this American foot.
It looks less than a meter deep down there.
Yeah. Okay, then don't jump.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, Gabriel.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good to be here. Nice spot we found.
Yeah. I was like, welcome. I was about to say.
Welcome to our canyon.
Yeah. This is like our office where we do interviews and stuff.
We're all working right now.
Yeah. Yeah, this office.
Amazing spots.
Yeah. Nice that you showed us to us, Peter.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, we've been bumping into each other for a few years.
Almost a decade.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it is a decade.
Yeah.
I think 2010, when I was in India, was when I first met you.
Yeah.
And then, because I have videos of you playing the flute
Yeah.
by the waterfall.
Yes, by the waterfall.
Rishikesh.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Wow.
And our fourth country,
yeah.
so India, Sweden, Greece, Thailand.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to stay connected with fellow travelers and
Exactly.
friends. And at one point we were a bit confused, like how many times did we meet each other in Rishikesh? We were talking about also.
At least twice,
Yeah.
because we did the $10 a day in India video, and that was a different trip. That was 2012.
Okay.
And then I can't remember if it might have just been when I bumped into you in Goa that one time completely randomly.
For a very short, like.
Yeah, you were on your way to
in the market or something.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, maybe it was just the 2 times in India, or in Rishikesh, and then that 3rd time in Goa. Maybe there was a 3rd time in there, because I was there again in 2014, but no, that was like March, I think.
But for me, it's the first time I meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of interesting things about you, Gabriel, but one thing that comes to mind, and I think one thing that you're known for, is to be like a world traveler, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a few words of how that came to be, sort of?
How long have you been traveling?
So I started hitchhiking when I was a kid. So we lived out this dirt road in Northern California, and it was like a 5-mile drive up a paved road, and then a 1.5-mile drive up a dirt road. And so the school bus would drop us off at the bottom of the dirt road. It didn't go up that road. And so I would be stuck always having to walk, or sometimes I would get ride with family. But my parents both worked at the hospital, and oftentimes they couldn't give me a ride, and so I'd be stuck walking like a 1.5 miles. And at some point, somehow I came up with the idea of hitchhiking it. And instead just sitting on the side of the road, reading a book, and wait for a neighbor to come along and then get a ride with them. And so that's like when my hitchhiking began. And then later, when I was a teenager, I started hitchhiking all the way from town out to our house. And so I already had that kind of hitchhiking, base of being comfortable with the idea of doing that. And so I finally went to Europe the day after I turned 18, and I'd been ready to do that. I was like so ready to get out of high school. And so I set up this trip and started hitchhiking around the UK, and hitchhiked the whole length of the United Kingdom, from London down to Land's End in Cornwall, and then up to John O'Groats at the top of Scotland, and then over to Ireland, across Ireland, and then started a train pass from there around the rest of Europe for the rest of that summer. So that was summer of 1990, and I didn't
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Did you write a book about this?
Yeah, Following My Thumb
Yeah.
is it chronicles my travels throughout the 1990s from Europe to India for the first time in 99 and 2000. And then in the middle of that, I didn't do any international traveling, but I was traveling like as a vagabond around the United States. A lot of hitchhiking, going to rainbow gatherings and festivals, and working on farms, and sleeping on the beaches of Hawaii, and working in Alaska. So it was all, United States traveling. And then went to India in 99, and then came back from there, and I didn't do any more international traveling again until 2006, went back to India again. And then since then, every year that I've traveled at least a few months, and mostly, more than a few months every year since then. So that's 14 years ago, yeah.
How many countries in total?
72.
72.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
How many kilometers?
Good question. I would love to know.
Something that comes to mind though is like, I get the feeling like you're searching for something almost. Like you're looking for something. Like
Well,
you're scanning the globe. Like it's gotta be here somewhere. Like do you have that within you? Like is there like a longing for something specific that you're kind of looking for, or?
Well, some of my travels have been like I was looking for a community to live on during the 1990s at one point, and I actually lived on several different communes in Washington State and in Hawaii, and so I was actually I was like in touch with these communities and like looking for a place to call home basically. But then other than that, then it's just one adventure leading to the next, and now it's become my job, and so that's further incentive to keep going.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did it became your job?
With the YouTube,
Yeah.
I just started randomly posting videos back in around like 2010, like, you know, I was making the YouTube videos the first time that I met you, but I didn't know how to edit, and I was just making little random clips and posting them, and it was just a matter of, you know, you document your travels with pictures, and then video comes along and digital cameras, and so it's just kind of the progression of that. And then YouTube was a new thing, and so I wasn't posting on there with any expectation that you could even make any money at all. But it was just a very slow thing of it becoming eventually making a few bucks a day to supplement the travels, and then making more than that, and then slowly building.
Now is your job is to travel.
Yeah.
But so many people must be like, I want to have your life, kind of, right?
Yeah.
But it's not all
It's like-
glory and like roses, kind of, right? It's not always the.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's one of the things that I try to document in my, you know, videos, is showing the reality of it, and, you know, the brutal bus trip to the Himalayas, and what an unpleasant thing that is, and dealing with a cold, and, you know, trekking in Nepal, and just whatever actually happens, you know, showing that, and then there's the whole element of that you don't really see in the videos of just being away from home, and not having, you know, regular relationships, and that element of being a full-time traveler, that is definitely, you know, a factor, and something that I'm fairly used to an extent, but definitely does also kind of tax you.
Do you have any type of routine to keep your sanity while you travel so much? Like, I know you've been doing yoga, for example. You feel that kind of helps you to center yourself when you're so scattered across the globe?
I don't do it enough that that it's a routine. I'm very, very sporadic about the yoga, and like, if I meditate, it's because I happen to wake up in the middle of the night and can't sleep, and so then I meditate for 20 minutes or something like that. But I don't have a regular routine. I mean, trying to do it with random rooms that are oftentimes too small to do yoga in, and it's just a little more difficult to get into the making it a regular, you know, thing in your life. I mean, really, the videos are the kind of constant that's my main focus now, and what keeps me busy, and gives me something to do with all the, you know, downtime and alone time, and of course it's a major motivator when that's what's paying for your travels, and it's also fun and provides some structure and gives you more of a focus, rather than just being kind of an aimless vagabond wandering around. Then I have a daily mission of keeping on top of things. If there's interesting stuff, I want to document it, because I'm not going to be there again, and I mean, maybe not, and so that gives you a daily, you know, kind of rhythm of sorts.
You have a little bit like this also, Peter. Like, you kind of need like a mission. You can't just lie on the beach the whole winter in Thailand. You go crazy, right?
Yeah, I need a mission.
Yeah.
I recognize myself a lot also. I haven't traveled as much as you have, but I traveled some, and I traveled quite a lot for my work. I used to build plant walls, vertical plantations, and I've been everywhere. I've been in Dubai, Shanghai, you know, I've been all over Netherlands, I've been in Germany, lots of different countries traveling, and I actually started yoga classes, I think 2 or 3 times. And maybe attending a maximum half of the classes, until I realized, okay, it's difficult to keep a routine when you're traveling. So I have some meditation routine that I'm sometimes doing, but yeah, I totally recognize that. It's not so easy, but
Yeah,
but
when
then you
you're-
have a goal.
When
like
your
work,
surroundings
yeah.
are, like, I think part of that routine is having an association with a place, like you have maybe your yoga room in your house or whatever, and also a consistent time, so that you're, you know, you're just kind of naturally going into that, whatever that is, on a daily basis, or 3 or 4 times a week or whatever, when everything around you is changing every day, and your mind is preoccupied with travel planning, and then if it's filming and editing and stuff like that, and so you don't have quite the same kind of a focus that you have if you have a more regular routine life somewhere.
All right, so where are you heading next?
In 2 days, I'm flying to Taiwan, and this will be my first time there. And I'm just there for 5 days, and then I fly back to the U.S. to Los Angeles. But I have a 24-hour layover in Manila. That was just the way that the flight worked out. So I'll have 1 day to. I've been to the Philippines before. 1 day to wander around Manila, and then back to L.A. and then going to Mexico for maybe like a couple of weeks. And then back to my mom's, probably in Northern California, to take a genuine break after 6.5. It's going to be like 7 months by that point of straight traveling. One of my longest trips. I've gone as long as 8 months straight before. So
That's a long time.
Yeah.
I think I traveled like for 10 months in India once, but that was also when I went to Nepal. And I don't know if you remember, but the other day I told you like I left Sweden with like
1,500 euros, you said, or something?
1,500 euros on my pocket.
Well, I went to India for 5 months on a little bit less than that. I think it was like $1,300 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that was 20 years ago. India's, especially then, was even cheaper. Like you were saying, you had a room for 20 rupees or something like that.
Yeah, in Nepal,
In
like
Nepal,
on the
yeah.
same trek, on Annapurna trek, in the beginning of the trek was a room for 20 Nepalese rupees.
How much is that?
How much is that? Is
Well,
that
now that would be 20 cents. That would be like 17 cents.
wow, that's cheap, huh?
Yeah.
But it was the worst room I ever had also.
Okay.
Yeah. It reminds me of a room that
Which
me
one?
and Peter had in Indoor.
Oh yeah, that one. That's a good story.
That's a very good story. Can we tell it quickly? Because
Yeah,
it's such a
I
funny
can
story.
tell this one quickly. So we found we've been traveled quite a lot.
We
and
came from Goa and we're going to Omkareshwar.
Omkareshwar, yeah. And we ended up in a pretty big city, I think, called Indore. And we arrived in the middle of the night, just grabbed a room in the hotel. And basically went to sleep. And after sleeping like 1 hour or something, someone come and knock on the door. And tell us something in Hindi or whatever language. And
Yeah.
of course we don't understand. It's like, sorry.
There's no foreigners in this city at all. We didn't see anyone else,
Yeah.
you know.
I've heard of the
Also-
city, but
Yeah.
never
So-
never stopped through there. Maybe through it on a train. I can't even think of what state that would be in, like Maharashtra or something.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's like saying something in Hindi and looking at
Something
us.
very important.
I was like, shit, it's 1 o'clock in the night, man. What do you want?
What can it be?
How can we help you? It's like, sorry, there's no way to communicate here.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay. He also gave up. So I was like,
And then left.
all right,
And
yeah,
that's all
okay.
you
We
wanted.
then
fell
we're going-
asleep. We fell asleep again, and 1 hour later, knock, knock, knock on the door. like, what do you want? And same story,
Yeah.
and then it happens again.
Like,
Like,
several times.
several
like whether
times.
like an hour or an hour. The whole night was like that, you know.
And I'm sleeping. I'm after a while. I'm not even getting up, and Victor is getting more and more
I was
irritated.
really angry at one point.
And to the story is also that it's not the same person coming.
Yeah.
It's different
Oh,
persons
really?
coming. You know. And in the end, you get
It's
so
like,
angry.
what do you want? You
Stop
have to
knocking
tell me
on our
what you want. I
door.
want to sleep. You have to leave us
In the middle of the
alone.
night. Why are you even up?
Like, if you knock one, I'm not paying for this room.
and then in the morning when we get up, I go outside, open the door, go outside, and then there's a light on the outside of the door. Then there's on the inside of the room, there's a button, like on a flight, you know. If you want something on a flight, you press a button and there's a light. So this light was shining outside our door, and then the staff thought, okay, we want something.
Yeah, passing by, and it's like, okay, the light
Oh,
is on. We
the
need
light's
to,
on.
like, what do you want? Is
Room
room
service,
service or
yeah,
something like that,
that.
you know?
Because it wasn't like a ceiling light. It was like on the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
outside the
Like
door.
some indicator light.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think that was connected down to the reception, and there's different people coming in the reception, seeing like the light on room 52 is okay, I gotta go there
I see.
And
on the
check.
top floor, like check what these
We
crazy
had
people
there
want.
were people
man.
coming like 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
maybe.
Such a funny story. I was so angry in the morning. I was like, yeah, and they're like, no English. I was like, there was no way.
But none of them thought to turn that light off, and
It's India.
because obviously the switch was in your room. Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's India.
yeah.
yeah.
That's for me. That's India.
Probably
And
they
it's funny.
told
And like a few years later, it's a very funny story.
Yeah.
I always laugh when I think about it. You know how angry I got.
Probably the person told us, why don't you turn off the light then? And
Yeah.
we're like,
Yeah.
not
I was like,
understanding anything.
Yeah. Don't get angry at me. You have the light on.
Yeah.
I'm attending to you. I'm
Yeah, I'm trying to help
doing
you.
my job.
I'm falling down here.
That's one of the reasons you go to India, is you have these wacky experiences like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, there's nothing like India, right? There's
no.
nothing. I guess you know better than anybody. Is there anything like India?
There isn't. I mean, for the most extreme traveling, like I was traveling on that road trip in Iraq, and I remarked to the guy, like, we're in, one of those countries that people, it's just like a no-go zone, like don't go there, it's crazy, whatever. And we're like, you know what, this is so much more mellow than India.
Yeah.
India's, even though it's popular, it's just the most extreme place. I mean, maybe Bangladesh is even another little bit of a level beyond that or something, because I haven't been there yet. But yeah, there's just nothing like it.
And that's why I kind of got hooked on India as well. I wanted something that was as different as possible to Sweden. Like I was so fed up with Sweden. I was like, I want to go to another planet. You
Like
know?
a shock to the system.
Yeah, like I really want something else. And India was hitting the spot. Like you're in a different world, my friend. Like
Sure.
And there's just so much to see and experience there.
so endless.
Places like Omkareshwar that you mentioned, like you hear about these places.
Yeah.
You go for the first time and you go to Delhi and you go to the Taj Mahal and Jaipur and all that, and then you just keep hearing about these other places that you're curious to see, well, what's that about? And it's something weird and unique. And
Sure.
For sure. Have
So-
you been?
Yeah, sorry.
Have you been to Africa?
I've been to Morocco and Egypt.
Because that's what I think. I've been to a few other countries also in Africa, and that's also for me, it's totally different.
Yeah.
The culture is so different, and the climate and the people, everything, the food. So that's. I mean, I've been to Zimbabwe. Actually, we went there we planned to do a documentary, and it was pretty dangerous when we did it, but everything went well.
Politically, you mean? There was...
Yeah, it was, what's his name, Mugabe?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Robert Mugabe. He basically cleaned the streets, in different ways, taking out the poor, and he had all different agents all around, so you never knew. We had problems to get the proper papers, so in the end we just did it anyway. So that was the hazard, I would say, but it went well.
Do you think you'll come back to Kopangan?
I would definitely, yeah. Without hesitation, I'd go for it.
Stay longer, huh?
Yeah.
Need more time to really relax into it.
Yeah.
There's
See
so
what's
much
really
to
happening.
explore.
It's a good place. But I'm curious. Out of all these places you've been, I mean, India stands out. Is there any specific spot or spots or any specific experience that you feel like, wow, this is amazing?
In India or around
Just
the
in
world?
general, in all these years you've been traveling.
I mean, I like the variety of different places, and so whenever people ask me, like, what is my favorite country or place, I don't have an answer for that, because it depends on kind of what I'm in the mood for. I mean, sometimes I'm in the mood for, like, cold weather, going to Finland, northern Finland, in the winter, and 15 below zero, and experiencing what that's like.
Yeah.
Because
I was just at
I
home.
know how it is.
I was
I
at
know
home
where you're
watching
going.
this video. I was just shaking my head. Why is it going even further north? Like, come on, it's Gabriel.
it's going to get colder.
Don't
That's
go
the way
there.
It works. Yeah.
There's nothing to get there.
Yeah. Greece is one of my favorites. Just, I love the vibe there. I love the food, it's the polar opposite of India for me.
Why is that?
Because it's like minimal hassle. The culture is much more reserved. So you don't, India, you go to India and you just get local contacts. Like oftentimes more than you want. But you do get that people wanting to talk with you and take pictures with you, and you know, these strange experiences with the people. And then Greece is a much more reserved culture. They just kind of don't pay you any mind, other than obviously, you know, they're friendly. You go to the restaurants and stuff like that. But especially out on the islands, then they're super quiet, and the villages are oftentimes quite abandoned. And it's just very serene, and I love the landscapes, just kind of these weird barren landscapes, and the calmness of the sea, and like super clear water, and amazing beaches, and
Good food, huh?
yeah.
We had some good food when we were there last time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was constantly forgetting what the things were, and you were just reminding me, oh, is that, don't you remember you had it yesterday?
Because it's some weird, because there's always some weird name that you can't
yeah.
remember anyway.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like there are certain countries that are just kind of more packed with places to see, and Greece is like that, and that it's a kind of a smallish country, but I mean, I've been to 25 Greek islands, and there's tons more that I'd like to go to the next time, and interior mountains, and
my cousin is actually Greek Cypriot, so I have a family on Cyprus, and the reason is because my mother's sister was a travel guide in Greece, and then she met a Cypriot man, and they moved to Cyprus and had a kid.
Okay.
So I go there sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, you've been to Cyprus then?
Yeah, a few times as well. Yeah. It's kind of the same culture, I guess.
It is, similar.
Yeah. It's interesting here in this valley. We keep hearing like a sound check for a kick drum. It's like 1, 2, and then dunk, dunk.
And you can hear a voice.
Yeah,
just
somewhere.
kind of waves in and out with the wind every once in a while. Like, so there's some kind of a
thing going
preparation
on.
for a
Always
concert
lots of
going
different stuff going on this island.
Some concert in the jungle down here somewhere.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that happens here is
Yeah.
crazy rave in the middle of nowhere somewhere.
Yeah. So is there any, maybe the last thing you want to say about your channel, or we'll post a link also? to
Yeah,
your
Gabriel
channel?
Traveler, and it's just like non-stop travel videos.
Sweet.
Posting 3 to 5 times a week or so. And
What's the best way to get down?
there's a rope over here, and I think that's your only option.
Over there?
Over here by that tree, so you can check it out. Yeah.
I would actually, last time I did it, I went up there and then around down there.
And how far is the waterfall?
This is it.
This is it right here. It's just there's no water.
This is the waterfall?
You'll see, if you stand on that rock, you'll see it's a cliff, and then that would be a waterfall if there was water.
If there was water,
Yeah.
Haven't rained enough. Turn your camera on.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be the battery.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I wonder if yours is on.
It is.
I can see it blinking. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, do you have any more thoughts, Peter?
Not really. It's really interesting to hear you.
Yeah. Gabriel Traveler, check it out.
Yeah.
Adventure travel content, and more to come.
Yeah. Check out the links below.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Happy trails.
See you next time.